Shout Factory just released 2 new releases for Tokusatsu with Dekaranger and Kamen Rider Ryuki. Let's take a look.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Tokusatsu home video. We're taking a look at 2 shows that I've watched previously, but now have on official releases, Tokusatsu Sentai Dekaranger and Kamen Rider Ryuki. These are both released by Shout Factory. Dekaranger is, of course, exclusive to Shout Factory's website for the time being. Chikyu Sentai 5-Man was just put up for order on Amazon for an April release, showing that the Sentai DVDs will get released. It's just going to take a very long time for them to hit general retail. But that is a good sign. Kamen Rider Ryuki can be purchased from any retailer. I recommend Right Stuff, because as we're going to talk about soon, Shout Factory isn't the best at shipping. In fact, that's going to be pretty much my biggest complaint here. But these 2 releases were scheduled for, I believe, a February 14th release and a February 7th release, but they shipped early and I got them already. So we're taking a look at both of these because, well, I don't think there's enough to talk about them individually. But let's take a look at the newest Sentai DVD and the most recent Kamen Rider Blu-ray and compare and contrast what Shout is doing with both franchises. Let's start with Dekaranger. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is probably my least favorite Sentai DVD to date. I have not been a huge fan of the way the Shout Sentai DVDs have been done. I've talked about this before in videos. Obviously, I'm still buying them for the purposes of making videos, but I really wish they'd shape up because this is by far, I think, the worst set out of all of them. First things first, the cover. So this has been a massive point in controversy, is that they are using the same image they used for the Power Rangers SPD DVD release. You know, normally that wouldn't be that big of an issue because it's the same suits, but these are specifically the SPD versions of the suits without the holsters on them, and it just feels kind of weird to use a Power Rangers image for a Sentai release. Because, well, we just had Abba Ranger, and Abba Ranger used an image from the Sentai. You can see the different types of material it's used for the costumes, as opposed to the way the Power Rangers ones are done. And you can see with Abba Ranger, you got some screenshots from the show along the bottom. You got a shot in the back that wasn't used in Power Rangers, more screenshots down there. It gives it a distinctive look to it, which is something I would expect out of a company that released both Power Rangers and Sentai. Plus, you get a collage of 5 images from the series showing the cast in different poses, as well as shots from the show. It's really nice and fun. I'm not, again, a huge fan of the cover art design for the Sentai DVDs, but they stayed consistent. I still think the best cover was my least favorite Sentai, O-Ranger. Maybe not my least favorite. But anyways, I don't like O-Ranger that much, but this cover is perfect, having the actual O-Ranger team without their helmets. Now, a photo like that does not exist for every show, but it's something that I think worked beautifully because it shows, hey, you might recognize the Zeo costumes, but there's some different people under those helmets. And then you can see that you've got, once again, images that work. This image has been associated with Power Rangers before, sure, but it's not the front cover image, and you get a lot of shots of the cast, both inside and outside. As you can see, the collage of images here, we've got 7 images. So, really cool. Now, why am I bringing that up on stuff we talked about before? Well, that's a Power Rangers picture. These 4 are screenshots from Dekaranger. This is another Power Rangers picture, again, because you can't see the holsters there. And then these 4 shots are from Dekaranger. And then you open it up, 2 images. This one seems to be a Power Rangers shot based on the way the sparks are done. And this is the only shot of the cast that they have. And you can barely even see Umika there. She's hiding, almost. It's ridiculous. This is like a screen cap that was taken while they're running and transforming at the same time, and it's really blurry, it's out of focus, you can't see anybody's face really well, and that's it. 2 images on the inside where we got 5 to 7 on the others. God, it sucks. The presentation ain't great. You got an episode list, it's got the 50 episodes, no movies are included, Dekaranger has a ton of them. It is on DVD. While there is a Blu-ray upscale release in Japan, we are stuck with a DVD version. And it's in that same plastic case that people have had problems with cracking and breaking in transit. And how did they ship this thing you can only buy from them? Well, bubble mailer. This is the exact bubble mailer I got. And pretty much everybody's $60 freaking Sentai DVDs shipped by a company who specializes in home video. And they were like, yeah, let's just ship them in bubble mailers. I don't even know if it's Shout directly, because they always come from a place called Clark and Riggs, but this is not enough protection for a $60 DVD set you can't buy anywhere else. Mine turned out fine, and that's by pure luck and blessing, because a lot of people have been reporting theirs just breaking and shattering from the actual transit. They open the box up and it's like broken along the bottom, and I've had that issue with previous ones. Shout knows what kind of cases they're using, and Shout could have these packed better, especially they're going to charge $9 for shipping. I'm not a fan of this packaging to begin with. I'm not a fan of, you know, the way it looks, but then on top of that, hearing that people are getting theirs damaged when this thing costs $60 for some reason, it's really, really frustrating. Now, here's another problem. The subtitles used here use some phrases common with the fan subs for Dekaranger, not official terms, which means that these are still getting contracted out to that other company. Because like I mentioned in the past, the Sentai DVDs were contracted to another company. They weren't done in-house versus the Kamen Rider, where it's done more in-house. And this is a new release because, as we talked about in the 5-Man and Dekaranger video, you can tell when something is made by Shout by looking at the product code. This has a 23356 product code. If we look at Dekaranger, which was the previous release, it had a 19 product code because it was probably supposed to come out back in 2019, whereas this is 2023. This is an issue. If this is still a problem, this should be the turning point of releases where we're going into a new era post-Kamen Rider, where Shout should be getting better at this after taking in feedback all this time. And here we are with broken cases, bad shipping, and subtitles that we're not exactly sure are completely fresh to the company that made them in the contract. And then on top of that, if you open your case, mine has a bunch of grease stains on the pallets, which keeps happening with discs lately. And we're going to try to capture this on camera, but I have smudges and scratches all over this disc from it rattling around in the package. Yep, you can see all the smudges right there. There's not as many scratches on that one as some of the others, but I wanted to show this on camera because while I've talked about the subtitles and all that, I haven't personally checked the discs yet. I wanted to make sure I documented the condition these are right in. Look at that, it's all scuffed up. Because the problem with these spindles is they're so light, and then when the thing is rattling around, because there's no packing material to stop it from rattling, you get the disc moving across. This one, disc 3, looks fine. I think this is the only clean one of the set. So the greasy pallets thing, kind of annoying. The spindles being loose keeps happening. These are the same cases we've been using the whole time, and they're the cheapest cases possible on releases that cost you, like I said, $60 after taxes and shipping. And yeah, they should be much better. Here's another one where you can sort of see the coat line of where the liquid was added to the disc. That doesn't usually affect playback, but it does show that the disc is not quite perfectly manufactured, and there's another smudge up here. So I'm just putting this down for my own record of what these discs look like before I pop them in, because if I have any playback errors, this is definitely going right back to Shout Factory, and I will expect a replacement because these cost too much to be having these kind of issues in transit. Shout Factory, I have loved their releases, but their packing and shipping from their website directly, as well as just the overall general quality problems of the Sentai DVDs, is really disheartening because I know Shout can do better. I've seen them do better, and this should have been the new release to change the game for Sentai. But here we are, still going through the same exact problems. Let's check these discs and see if they play, because I'm not exactly sure right now. So luckily all my discs do run and they don't seem to have any playback issues due to the scratches. How are the subs? So in general, the subtitle typeface is actually a lot different than the previous Sentai DVDs. It's a lot bolder, it's more blocky. It just seems like it's done by completely different people. So I know it's hard to see and I'm waving my hand. The picture quality on this definitely feels like it's more the DVD source of the Japanese release as opposed to the Blu-ray upscale put on a DVD like we've seen with some Japanese media. This is something that Shout can't do anything about, but it's really just fuzzy around the edges and not the best picture quality that the show could be in, but that's just depending on what masters Toei gave them. Though I do appreciate the subtitles don't try to overlap this text, because that happened on the 01 Blu-ray where there was subtitle text on top of this text making it hard to read, so I'm glad it's moved to the top. Now, unfortunately, there is just normal subtitles. With Dekaranger, you had the option for hearing impaired subtitles. With 5-Man, it was just burned into the subtitle track in general. This is just normal subtitles with no hearing impaired option, which is a down step from the previous releases. Okay, so having watched some of the show, gone over the discs, I'm pretty underwhelmed by the Dekaranger set. Just in general, packaging art I think is awful. The subtitles are fine. I think they look good and they read good, and the new typeface is much easier to see than some of the older Sentai DVDs, but the fact that they might possibly have been taken from fan subs doesn't sit well with me. The other thing that I think is the biggest disappointment is that I thought with 5-Man it was weird that we had only the hearing impaired subtitles as the only option, but then I loved it in Abaranger where we had the option for standard subtitles or hearing impaired subtitles. So to go back to just standard subtitles does feel like a downgrade. It was one of the nice features of it. And again, my biggest disappointment does come from the way this was shipped. If this is going to cost $60 only through Shout, can you ship it in a box, please? The bubble mailer really wrecked up these discs. Now, I did not have any issues playing these. However, I haven't watched the show in full. I haven't had that much time yet. What I do to check discs that have scratches to see if they will run is I put the disc in, hit play all, and then hit the fast forward button, and then fast forward through every disc. So I did that for every disc. I fast forwarded through every disc. I didn't have issues despite there being scratches like on disc 1 in particular. Those scratches did seem minor enough they didn't affect playback through a PlayStation 4. This may not work for everything, but the fact that discs were scratched in the first place means the packaging sucks. Or the manufacturing process sucks for them to be scratched before they even got into the packaging, if that's the case as well. So like I always say with the Sentai DVDs, when I did the 5-Man and Abaranger review, do I recommend buying these from Shout right away? Not really, no. Now that 5-Man's on Amazon, there's a chance for a price drop. That would be better, because honestly, at the $60 a pop that these go for, after you include taxes and shipping from Shout Factory, they're not worth it. They really aren't. One of the big disappointments here is the video quality, because, of course Toei didn't give them the Blu-ray sample, or else we'd get this on Blu-ray, but not getting the Blu-ray master for the DVD version is kind of a bummer too, because some of the early Nozomi Entertainment Gundam releases, they weren't doing Blu-ray discs, like Turn A and Mobile Suit Gundam, but they had the Blu-ray video source, so they looked a lot better. I know this can look better, and the fact it doesn't is a bummer. These don't have better masters in Japan. This does. But, as I said in the 5-Man and Abaranger video, if you want Dekaranger on disc, this is the official way to watch it, but I don't feel like it's worth the money. So I would wait. It's just going to take a lot longer, but if you can get it on a discount, I would recommend it, because I don't feel like it's worth its full price. And then here's our Sentai DVDs, which, I gotta say, still are the most consistent looking spines. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 releases, and they all look like they're part of the same franchise. I have to give them credit for that. All right, switching gears, here is Kamen Rider Ryuki. Now, I should be more excited about this because the Kamen Rider Blu-rays to date have been great, and I am. I think the actual contents of the disc should be pretty good. In fact, I did order this from Shout so I could get the exclusive poster, but I'm getting to the point where I'm not sure if I want those because, well, in the box, which you could see this on my recent live streams, I opened these live, the box that held this and the poster had this sliding back and forth the whole time, which means inside here, the case is cracked in shipment. This is ridiculous. Shout Factory, you've been around long enough. Get a better shipping company. This is insane that this keeps happening. I keep hearing about people getting Sentai DVDs with broken cases. I keep hearing people getting Kamen Rider stuff with broken cases. Just, I don't know, pack things good. I don't know what to say beyond that, but the shipping company they got right now sucks. Terrible. And for the shipping rates they charge, it's even worse. So we got Kamen Rider Ryuki, block lettering logo, sort of what we expect, Japanese logo here. It does include episode final, the director's cut, which is Ryuki's summer movie, and I'm really happy it's the director's cut because there's no reason to include the theatrical. And the director's cut wasn't even released in HD in Japan until just recently, so this is actually really, really nice. But it does contain all 50 episodes plus the movie. If you are waiting to see if the movie will pop up on Tubi, the probably won't because they said that the movie is exclusive to the set. Now, once again, just like with Dekaranger, there is grease spots. There's like some weird like grease texture. I don't know what's going on with disc manufacturing where all this keeps happening on not just Shout releases, but Paramount releases, Warner Brothers, everything. But you can see we got the show across 7 discs for 50 episodes, plus disc 8 is the movie. You got a nice shot of Ryuki there. I think Knight's in the spine of it. you know, pretty good packaging. I actually do like the border they added to this image, because this image is the one they use on Tokusatsu for streaming, as well as on the poster. But to crop it down to Blu-ray stats, putting this border in is like the border of the Advent cards. So I actually don't mind it because it kind of fits the theme of the series. And I think this looks much better than Kuga, so we definitely have a step up. But looking at the discs, you know, we got 7 discs with the same art, and then disc 8 has different art because it is the movie. So you can see there's Ryuki and Fam. Now, here's my problem. Because it was sliding back and forth in shipping in transit, here we go again. We've got, and this is going to be harder to pick up because it's Blu-ray. You can see me there. Can you see that there's a scratch right there? This is a problem. Blu-rays have a scratch protective layer on them. And so anytime I see scratches, that means this, yeah, there you go. You can see the rings around the disc. Anytime I see scratches, it means the case is somehow scratching the disc. And it's because what I've noticed is there's a little piece of dirt that got in here. And so as it was sliding around in transit, it was spinning and scratching the disc. Now, I don't know if that affects playback, because once again, I wanted to show these prior to playback. But this is not great. And then some of these are greasy, like that's a grease spot because of the spindles being greasy. So this is just, I know this sounds like nitpicks, but this is just keeps happening. This just keeps happening, and I gotta call it out where I see it. But I'm just really displeased with the overall package quality of everything I've ordered from Shout Factory this time. This is in the same order. They shipped them separate, and I had Ryuki sliding around in the package and Dekaranger in a bubble mailer. So let's take a look at Ryuki, see if the discs are good, and see if they'll even play, because that first one having like 8 scratches on it is really worrisome. Sadly, it seems like Ryuki has the same loading issue on PlayStation that the 01 set did, where it took 1 minute and 40 seconds just to load one disc. I thought we had this kicked with Kuga, but apparently not. So when it comes to Ryuki, the scratch disc, the disc that had scratches distinctively, disc 1, did not have any playback issues. I fast-forwarded through the entire disc, and it didn't freeze up or get hung up, so that's good to see. But it's a bummer that there's scratches there to begin with, because I don't know if that'll be a problem in the future. Looking over the subtitles, seems to be the exact same subs we got through Tokusatsu, which makes sense. I appreciate the subs on this set, including the on-screen text for what's on the cell phones, because this comes up a lot in the series, and I'm glad that they actually put the text on there. Even if it does obscure the image a little bit, it's nice knowing what that was saying. In episode final, the Ryuki movie uses similar subtitles for naming and phrase conventions, which is good, so there's not a disconnect between the series and the movie. So overall, do I recommend this set? Absolutely. While it is not as good as, say, Discotech Media's Kamen Rider Black set, which I did a separate video on, this is just a step beyond. The Ryuki set, I think, is on par with 01 and Kuga. However, the issue of the discs loading taking forever on Ryuki when you use it on a PlayStation is the same issue that happened with 01, but was not an issue on Kuga. And I don't exactly know why, because with Kuga, it was a series that you had 7 episodes per disc. Just like with Ryuki, you have 7 episodes per disc. And I don't know exactly why this one and 01 have this loading issue. I figured 01, it was a glitch, and they fixed it on Kuga. And there's part of my 01 case that broke off. Yeah, I figured 01 had the issue, Kuga fixed it, Ryuki wouldn't have it, but it's here again. And since a lot of people do use their PlayStations and other gaming consoles to watch their Blu-rays, it's kind of a bummer. Now, these 3 sets do look decent together on a shelf because, you know, they're all from the same company, but they are completely formatted differently. It's really funny when something should be more consistent because it's all from the same company, and it's not. It's just, it's all kind of all over the place. So when you throw in Kamen Rider Black as our other Kamen Rider Blu-ray, does it really look that out of place? Not really. So overall, I think the biggest issue I have with Ryuki outside of the loading issue is actually the plastic case, because I don't know. Shout, you're charging, you know, 50, 60 bucks for these sets. Let's get some better cases, please. This is the same thing I think with Mill Creek too. You know, their releases are cheaper, but I'm still like, why are your cases damaging your discs? So please invest in better cases, and please get better shipping departments, because, well, as you can see, 01's popping apart. I ordered these all from Shout, and they all have a variation of cracked or loose components because of the shipping, so rant over. Ryuki's worth it. I just recommend buying it from Amazon or Right Stuff or something like that. You know what? If you want to get a Ryuki that I can almost guarantee is in a perfect condition of the case, get it from Right Stuff, because they know how to pack and actually ship things. So that's Ryuki. Honestly worth it. All right, so here we got the Kamen Rider Blu-rays on the shelf. This is where I'm at with Blu-rays, by the way, where I got enough Blu-rays the DVDs are starting to stack on top of them. But there they are, so you can see them, you know, in line with some other releases. So where are we at? Dekaranger, I don't think is worth its money at the current price it's going for. It just feels underwhelming. Now, if you love Dekaranger, you're probably going to enjoy it regardless. For me, I do like Dekaranger, and it's kind of a bummer that it doesn't feel up to par with the other Sentai DVDs because I know it could be better, and the issues with the subtitles and then the packaging is just a continuing problem. It just feels like a bummer. Ryuki, totally worth it. Just get it from somewhere besides Shout. I love Shout Factory's releases, but I think that their shipping department sucks, and ordering it from them directly is terrible, which is why these Sentai DVDs are not worth it in my eyes, because you can only get them from one place that doesn't ship them well. And I know Amazon ain't much better, but you can also, I think 5-man should be available through other retailers like Right Stuff, so shop around if you haven't picked them up already. I do want to continue supporting the Shout Factory Tokusatsu releases because I think it's important that we still get these shows, but of course I have to bring up the problems that come up with them, so that way we can make sure that these get improved on. If Shout Factory is watching this video, and I hope they are, these are the things that I'm pointing out, not necessarily as nitpicks or just general complaints, but these are things that I think can be done better, and I would like to see improvement on this in the future. But for now, we don't know what the next Shout Factory releases will be for Sentai and Rider. This is at a point where we don't know yet. Hopefully we'll see soon as these release dates have come up. But stay tuned on the channel, hit subscribe and the notification bell, as I'll be covering more videos on Kamen Rider, Sentai, Ultraman, all kinds of Tokusatsu home video, and others. Also be sure to hit the like button while you're down there and leave a comment and tell me if you have any kind of questions about these two releases. I'm willing to answer pretty much anything. Also, be sure to check out my live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern here on this YouTube channel, and follow me on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12. Be sure to check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for Tokusatsu interviews, news, reviews, and more. Also, be sure to check out my awesome graphic designer on Twitter at DarkClaw643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.